I truly don't think that this video needs an intro. If you guys have a social media, if you've seen it on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram, you know that Major League Baseball is royally screwing up right now. And honestly, if you want to leave a like on the video, if you want to subscribe, that is your own prerogative. But for right now, we have to defend the game of baseball because the way that it looks right now, the way that the negotiations are playing out, we might not have baseball until 2022. If you guys are confused as to why that is, the 2020 negotiations aren't going well at all. We're going to talk about the update that came in yesterday, Tuesday. I told you guys Tuesday was going to be the day where we thought, yes, baseball is coming back, or actually, that's really stupid. We might not have baseball this year. And then the CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, is up in 2021. So if that doesn't get agreed upon, we might not have baseball for the next year. Maybe there's baseball again, and then there's a strike in 2022. So we just have to really talk about everything right now. But before we get into the updated proposal, I have to break down what the scum owner of the Oakland A's. I'm wearing the A's hat right now, not to support the owner. I am supporting all of the players for the A's and their minor league system. I don't know if you guys can see, but I have a bobblehead of the mascot of the AAA Aviators, the AAA team for the A's. What the owner decided to do, I cannot believe that I'm actually saying this out loud. So minor leaguers, if you did not know, don't really get paid all that great. Now, a lot of people like to say, oh, there are 33 million people on unemployment, or maybe these minor leaguers should have had a backup plan and they made really poor decisions. Tell that to Mike Piazza, who was drafted in the 62nd round. Okay, not every single superstar in Major League Baseball is going to be a first-round draft pick. You need a minor league system. And again, I've said this before, they don't get paid that well. So what the owners decided to do is when they first recognized that the corona was going to be a valid thing, that baseball was not going to get paid, they decided to give, we're talking about the A's ownership, they decided to give their employees full pay. So they said, we're not going to fire you, and we're going to give every minor league baseball player $400 a week. Fast forward to yesterday, news came out, news broke that the owner of the A's, who is worth $2 billion, John Fisher. Now, I understand that net worth and liquidity are two different things. I went to college, I took economics, I understand. So all of you people out there, fuzzy, there's a difference between net worth and how much money you can actually give. Hear me out. The owner, John Fisher, remember the owner of the A's, he is now furloughing employees. So he's now saying, you don't have a job anymore. Go file for unemployment. That's number one. Number two, the highest paid employees are now going to take pay cuts. That makes sense. Everyone's taking a pay cut. YouTube is not paying as much, so even I'm taking a pay cut. And number three, minor league baseball players will no longer receive a $400 stipend to feed their families, to provide, pay car insurance, pay health insurance. Now, they're still going to, actually, I take that back. They're still going to get their health insurance. They're still going to get money put towards their pension and their 401k, but they're not getting that $400 a week stipend that they can use to pay for rent, pay for anything else that they might need to feed their family or fuel their lifestyle. I don't understand why he had to do that. John Fisher is worth $2 billion, okay? So if let's say that there's 200 minor league players in a system for the A's. It would probably cost just over $1 million to give them that $400 a week stipend for the rest of the year until August. That's when the minor league baseball season would end. You don't think that a guy worth $2 billion, you don't think that he has $1 million in liquidity somewhere where he can just give it to the players and say, you know what, you could end up being a superstar on our team in 5 to 10 years, and we might need you to take a hometown discount because we all know the A's, they have the Moneyball approach. They don't offer huge contracts. But let's say that top prospect Jorge Mateo, he breaks out, he's a superstar, he's a stud. Let's say they don't trade him like they did with Josh Donaldson and all of their other stars, Carlos Gonzalez. Let's say they want to re-sign Jorge Mateo. He's going to look back to this and think, hey, John Fisher, you want me to take a hometown discount because we're all about saving money as an A's organization. But remember about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, when you wanted to not give me $400 to support my family because you wanted to save your bottom dollar and your bottom line? These guys are not stupid. I know a lot of people think that baseball players are greedy and they're selfish and they're trivial and they're immature. That's not the case. These guys are smart. They have bottom lines as well. So I just wanted to go ahead and put that into perspective for all of you people out there that are on the side of the owners. This is the precedent that I was afraid of. I did not want this to happen. The owners are now screwing over the minor league players because they don't have a CBA. They don't have a players union where they can go back and forth. They can just say, okay, all of my employees are furloughed. Minor league players are no longer going to get a stipend. Minor league baseball players playing for the Athletics will pretty much be making nothing. Even though Sean Murphy produced for the A's last year in 2019, even though Jorge Mateo has a pretty good chance of being a star Major League Baseball player, they're not going to get anything. So I just want you guys to understand that the owners, they are not on the side of us. They are not looking after the American people and the American dream. They're after their bottom dollar, and they're a business owner. How can you be a business owner and not be responsible for the risk of an economy that can dip and rise like a roller coaster? Isn't that the risk that you take when you open up a cafe or a video game shop or your own batting cage? You understand that some people might come in one day and then no one comes in for the next week, and you have a negative profit margin. So that's just my perspective about the A's and their current situation, how they're not paying their minor league players. They are now furloughing employees, and their high paid employees that are staying at their jobs, they're taking a significant pay cut. And speaking of pay cuts, now we're gonna get into the brand new proposal that was sent to the players yesterday. I cannot believe that this is happening. So in a nutshell, I'm gonna keep it very, very simple. What the owners want to do now is they want to keep the prorated salaries. So the prorated salaries are going to stay intact. So that sounds like good news, right? No, not exactly. They want the highest paid players in baseball to pretty much donate a huge chunk of their income to the rest of the league. So Mike Trout, who can make $38 million, he's supposed to take a pay cut so that the Yankees can have more money. How does that make sense? You want Mike Trout, someone that has to go onto the field and risk injury, and God forbid, let's say Mike Trout doesn't get injured. Let's say he contracts the thing that's going around right now. It'd be very improbable, but let's say that it does happen. That can be an 8-week recovery process, and in his body for who knows how long. There's still studies being done. So the players, they're taking all the risk. And the math works out. So the prorated salary for 82 games is in full effect, right? Then you have to take the highest paid players and have them take a significant pay cut. So Jeff Passan, I know I kind of harped on him in the last video and said that he was kind of being a jerk, but he is very knowledgeable about the inner workings of baseball and its economics. So we're gonna go ahead and break it down real quick. So let's say that in a full year, Mike Trout made $35 million, right? So the proposal would now pay him $7.84 million. So that doesn't make any sense. So a full year, Mike Trout makes 35. Half of that is 82 games, which they're trying to play. That would be about $17.5 million. But now Mike Trout, because of the fact that he needs to pretty much donate and be charitable, he's only going to make $7.84 million. Now I understand that $7.84 million is a ton of money, but Mike Trout might go down as the greatest baseball player of all time. None of us watching right now will ever be able to say that. So none of us can count his pocket and say, he doesn't deserve that money. That's still a lot. He has a special talent that no one can replicate. So he deserves to be paid as such. He has a special set of skills that end up being paid that much money. So when you're going to play 82 games and risk being injured, prorated makes sense. You're being paid on the amount of games that you play. You're not getting the full $35 million. I understand that. But when you want to prorate it, and then the MLB owners who are already furloughing employees and cutting the salaries of minor league baseball players come back and say, you now, Mike Trout, Anthony Rendon, Bryce Harper, Garrett Cole, you guys who we just spent a lot of time in negotiations saying, please sign with us, please give us that extension, we cherish you, we want you on our team for the next decade, please, we need you, Mike Trout, we need you, Garrett Cole, you would really help our economy, and you would help us sell tickets and jerseys. Please join us. We'll give you $350 million, or however much Garrett Cole got paid. And now the Yankees and the owners are turning back on Garrett Cole and saying, you know what, we gave you that contract and we said that you were worth that. You now are not worth that anymore because we need to protect our bottom line. Even though you, the player, are taking all the risk, we need to protect our franchise. So you're going to take a pay cut on top of having a prorated salary. So Garrett Cole, instead of making 35, is going to make about $7.5 million after taxes, probably $6 million. What are we doing here? I don't know one single baseball player that has come out in defense of this. I know Blake Snell got put through the ringer because he came out, he didn't articulate himself in the best way. Blake Snell's point is valid, but you can't say that I'm not going to risk it for $8 million because of health. Like, there are people out overseas, there are people in the medical field, their risk is a whole lot higher. I understand that. But they are not professional athletes. They chose to be medical professionals. They chose to be soldiers. These guys dedicated their lives to be professional baseball players because it's not like baseball players just got around to getting paid a lot of money. There's been money in pro sports for quite some time. Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes, they're probably going to get paid $35 million when they get their new contracts. Patrick Mahomes is probably going to get $40 million. So it just doesn't make sense that we can sit here and judge these baseball players and their pocketbooks because they're making millions of dollars. They earned it. That's my perspective. But just the fact that the A's ownership is doing what they're doing, and then the rest of the owners sent back this proposal that they have to prorate their salaries, and then the highest paid players have to give a good amount back to the lower paid guys. So, I mean, if we do the math right now, I'm going to throw it up on the screen right now. 35 would equal about 7.84, 30 would equal about 6.95, and then if you go down to league minimum, a guy who's making 563 would make about 262. They are going to get royally screwed, and this deal will never get done. If they're going to play 82 games, they better get paid for 82 games worth. That's the most fair thing in the world, right? So let's say that YouTube came to me and said, Fuzzy, with the whole Corona thing, we've had to lay off a few people at Google because YouTube is owned by Google. And honestly, we know that you're making the same amount of videos and you're putting in the same amount of effort. So we're not, 50-50 is not fair. We'll go ahead and prorate you based on the views that you had before, right? So just do the same amount of work, but we'll prorate you based off your average views of the last month. Something like that. It would make sense. Not a 50-50 salary cap where my income is there's a ceiling to it. I can't make more, I can't make less. I don't like that. I should be someone that deserves to get paid what I signed up for. And that means on a prorated salary. Not a 50-50 split. Not me as a high-paid baseball player having to donate, almost 80% or 75%, 70% of my income to the rest of the league and huge fan bases like the Yankees and the Astros and the Dodgers who already make billions of dollars a year. You're telling Mike Trout to give money to the Astros? Nah, that's not going to work out. So, I mean, there's a few other things that we could talk about, like this graph right here. So the full year, again, we're talking about $35 million. They would make that in one 162 game schedule year. Okay, so if they played 162, they would be paid $35 million. The proposed is 7.84, but what the players already agreed to was a $17.5 million agreement based off $35 million because that was the prorated salary. I mean, I don't even know what we really are doing here. It's embarrassing. Major League Baseball looks greedy. Major League Baseball is the only sport that is not progressing forward. NBA wants to come back. We have the NFL planning ahead and trying to push back the 2021 season, so they're already game planning, and it just makes Major League Baseball look like they're behind the curve yet again. So they're not getting the youth involved. They're not taking care of their players. It's all about the bottom line for the owners, and it really sucks to say. So what we're going to do is we're going to end the video with a little bit more positive stuff. This day in Major League Baseball history, what happened? You guys can learn some stuff. Thank you all so much for watching. If you are on the side of the players, leave a like. If not, leave a comment why. Enjoy this day in Major League Baseball history. I have nothing else to say. If you're bored and want to watch some more content, 2 videos are on the screen right now. And also, do not forget to follow me over on Twitch. We talk about baseball. We play MLB The Show. It's a great time. I'll catch you guys there. Have a wonderful day.